What is up, everyone? Welcome back to yet another episode of First Date Unsolved. If you are all caught up on all of our episodes that are available on Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Audible is also Amazon, Pandora, I think that's it. So if you're all caught up with all of the episodes on any of those available sites, then you're probably wondering why we're talking about Janeal Jones again. Well, I want to say about 2 months after Janeal and Sam's episode was published in June of 2024, Janeal's brother, Ronnie, contacted me. I had previously messaged him on Facebook and he hadn't seen the message until after I had already released the episode. Ronnie and I spoke over the phone exactly 1 week after the anniversary of Janeal's death. And 6 weeks later, I spoke with Janeal's mom, Miss Lovella Jones. I explained to the two that I first discovered Janeal's case in the summer of 2023, and I had been wanting to feature her in an episode ever since, but was hoping to find out more information first because that's just how I am. I finally had to accept the fact that it wasn't likely I was going to be hearing from anyone that I had reached out to, and that's when I decided just to release that short episode. I think it's 10 minutes long, and that went out last summer. I can't explain why things worked out the way that they did, but I'm very, very thankful for how it's all come together, and I'm excited for this episode. If you haven't listened to episode 28, I think it's best if you head over there first and get some information that won't be covered here today, because this episode is all new info, and that episode kind of just is more like an overview. My conversations with Janeal's family started with the topic of her early life. That's the best place to start in my mind. That's where I always start. Lovella let me know that her daughter's name derives from Janeal's father's name, which is James Neal. He goes by the name Jay, so the couple just put the two names together. Lovella's mom wanted her grandchild to be named Tiffany, but the expecting parents decided that Janeal was much more unique and a better fit. It certainly matched her daughter's outgoing personality more than Tiffany would, and that's no shot at any Tiffany's out here. Janeal's just a little more fun. Janeal was petite, but her 5'1" frame held a lot of personality. She loved to laugh and make others laugh. She was fun, playful, charismatic, loving, and overall just a really good person. She was a well-behaved child, according to Lovella. She was a great older sister, per Ronnie. And both Lovella and Ronnie mentioned that Janeal wasn't the type to get into fights, but she could certainly defend herself if she ever needed to. Janeal may have been small, but she was strong and she was mighty.
She was a pretty good girl. She never got a spanking or anything. Um, so she was, I don't know, she was just Janelle. Excuse me, she liked to play. She loved basketball. She won a couple of trophies in basketball. She was in ballet. She loved to skate. Oh yeah, she was a tattletale. She told on everybody.
That's funny.
Yes, she did. But other than that, she was just like a pretty regular, child. She was always smiling. Something was always funny to her. Absolutely funny. She did. She had a beautiful smile. She did. She had, I don't know. She had this weird thing about her. Like she didn't feel pain like other people felt pain. It was really weird. She got like a tattoo.
Mhm.
Um, I said, "Does it hurt?" And she said, "No." And I'm like, I'm talking to everybody else. Everybody else says, "Yes, it hurts, Miss Bella. It really does." Um, I took her. I was taking her to the doctor's office one time, and she was standing close to the car. And I don't know how my child's foot got underneath the tire, but she would. You know how normally people would be screaming and hollering.
Yeah.
She just knocked on the window and said, "Mom, can you take the tire off my foot, please?" I was like, "What are you talking?" Oh my goodness. Yeah, she had a real high, what do they call it?
Pain tolerance.
Yeah, yeah, she did. She did. I think I seen her one time when she was a very adventurous child too. She had got her lip pierced, and
Oh.
I think yeah, that hurt her a little bit because I touched it. And she said, "Mom, that hurts." I said, "Okay, I never heard that before, but okay." Yeah, yeah, and that's the only time I think that was uncomfortable for her.
Janeal certainly had a high tolerance for pain, but when she was hit by a car on 4th Street in Wilmington, she needed to have a metal plate inserted into her ankle. That's an intense surgery, and recovery would be hard for about anyone, or just about anyone. She was prescribed Percocets for pain, and that is where her struggle with substances all began. This is a tale we've all heard of 100 times. Even if you don't want to admit it to yourself or anyone else, we all know someone, friend of a friend, cousin of a cousin, someone even maybe even directly related to you, but we all know someone who has felt the effects of opioid addiction. This is the third time I'm recording this, and I cannot say opioid. I'm sorry. There was even a show created by Netflix called Painkiller, maybe 2 years ago. The show depicts the causes and consequences of America's opioid epidemic. If you've never seen the show, I highly recommend it to everyone because you get a good look at how the lives of so many different people were turned upside down, all because of greed. You know, from a hardworking dad to a salesperson, social worker, all kinds of like just it's a good show. Janeal's predicament was a little bit different than most that you hear about. She was very good at keeping the two aspects of her life separate. We all have a core group of friends, right? Everybody has those people we've known for years, people we consider family, and people we bring around our family. Ronnie called those people the normal people in his sister's life. Janeal had those friends, and then she had the people that she would go party with. For the most part, Janeal's family really only saw one side of her and only interacted with the people they had known for a really long time. They weren't aware of anyone who would want to hurt her. They didn't know if she owed anyone money or if she had gotten into trouble at all because she just kept that part of her life separate. There were obviously instances that led to them finding out about her addiction, but Ronnie stated that there was never any point in time where he felt like he couldn't trust her or he felt like his sister had changed as a person. Ronnie just mentioned that there were times where he would catch his sister outside with people he would never expect her to associate with. With addiction comes shady characters. It's rare that you have one without the other, and Janeal found out that for herself when she began running with a rough crowd. He explained to me that his sister was living in her own apartment at one point, and the apartment was near 23rd and Market Street. One of the guys she knew ended up raping a woman in that apartment, and Janeal was evicted as a consequence of that. I don't know if this creep was a roommate or what, but it's an indication as to almost why she lived a double life. She didn't want the people she loved and cared about to be exposed to these other individuals. In my opinion, that double life is probably what led to Janeal's senseless murder. On August 8th, 2013, police responded to the 600 block of East 14th Street and located the 33-year-old Jones in a vacant lot. I will share screenshots of the area for you all on socials because I want everyone to see where this crime was committed and form your own opinion. We don't know if she knew her attackers, but the chances that she did are pretty high. This area, I would not be caught. Well, let me not say that, but I wouldn't want to be caught or wouldn't want to walk through this area, even in broad daylight, let alone at 2 a.m., especially if I were with people I didn't know. East 14th Street in particular is pretty vacant. On the street before East 13th Street, there are 2 churches and a custom auto shop. The next street over, East 16th Street, lines up against the backs of houses and a window tinting business, another church, and just 2 other maybe vacant buildings. Near the intersection of North Church Street and East 14th Street, there's nothing but trees and fences that have been taken over by weeds and greenery. This is a pretty rare isolated spot within the busy city, and it can't be a coincidence. It just cannot be a coincidence that this is where her beaten and battered body was found. And the date on 2 of the Google Map images I'm going to share with you is September 2014. So that's only a year after the murder, and it's pretty likely that that's what the area looked like at the time Jones was killed. Only so much can change in a year, especially when buildings aren't being built and, things aren't moving around. This also isn't a place where Janeal would have been with people she didn't feel comfortable with, or at least know on some level. Like I said, I wouldn't want to be in that area with people I didn't know, so she certainly wouldn't have been there with people she didn't know either. She wouldn't have been walking around in the dark with anyone who openly had a problem with her. And Lovella and Ronnie both said that Janeal avoided confrontation. I mentioned earlier that Janeal wasn't afraid to defend herself. And being able to fight one-on-one is a whole lot different than 2 against 1, especially when weapons are involved and who knows what they were on, what had happened prior. So, even if I can defend myself, if there's 2 other people against me and there's weapons, my chances diminish, right? I guess that's what I'm just trying to say. We may not know exactly what took place out there that night, but one thing for sure is that Janeal had to fight for her life on a dark, empty road. Sadly, she lost. Lovella explained to me that while preparing for her daughter's funeral, they had to pick out an outfit that would conceal Janeal's skin as much as possible. Her hands and body were in such bad shape from the altercation and the multiple stab wounds that Janeal had to wear gloves and pants in her casket. In case you didn't hear that, I'm going to say that one more time. I'm going to repeat that for you. The defense wounds on her hands were so severe that she had to be buried with gloves on so that family and friends attending her funeral didn't have any indication as to how bad their loved one suffered before she died. And speaking of the funeral, the Jones and Neal families were rudely interrupted during the service by a strange woman's outburst. Lovella was at the front of the church when the commotion took place and didn't hear the whole exchange, but there was a woman hollering all the way in the back, something along the lines of, "I had to run for my life too. Why aren't you making a big deal about me? I was there. I had to run for my life too." Now, I'd say that's a pretty odd thing to say at a funeral, right? Either way, the situation was de-escalated and things quieted back down. But after the fact, Lovella went to police and asked if they had looked into the girl's claims. They said they did speak with her at one point, but dismissed her allegations and insinuated that whatever she said was all made up. Now, I do know that there are some really sick people in this world that will troll a person or family who is grieving. But Janeal was violently murdered. And I just hope that this person was properly vetted by authorities, not just, dismissed. And when it comes to authorities, I did attempt to get in touch with the 3 investigators that Lovella had names and numbers for, when it comes as no surprise that I didn't hear anything back. And I'm going to use the subject of law enforcement not returning calls as a little segue into some potential rumors about surveillance footage that was taken the night of Janeal's death. There were rumblings at some point in time that 3 individuals had been captured on video near the area where the murder took place. After what I'm assuming is several minutes goes by, only 2 of the 3 people previously seen are spotted running back into the direction where they came from. I'm still unaware if this footage actually exists, and Lovella isn't sure either, but that was a rumor at some point in time, and who knows.
Do you remember?
I heard that too, but police told me there wasn't any cameras. The cameras, well, maybe where it happened. Maybe you could see them going into the pathway, but they didn't see the actual thing on the tape. So I don't know if they checked for those people, or not. I really don't know what this. I don't know what Wilmington is doing about this. I really don't. I mean, I reach out to them, and they still tell me, "Oh, well, there's no news, Miss Jones. Currently, there's no news. We can try this, we can try that." And like I told you before, the last time I spoke to the police officer, he said, "Well, I'm gonna call you back tomorrow," and he never called me back tomorrow. So I still keep in touch with
And
him.
that was, did you say that was in March? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
What, when I spoke to him?
Yes.
Was it March? Either March or April.
Okay, so earlier this year.
Yeah. I normally try to call them because they never call me because I guess they don't have any knowledge of anything. So I normally try to call them on her birthday and August 8th. That's the day that she was.
She passed, yeah.
Yeah, and matter of fact, I spoke to August. Did I call? No, you know what? I didn't call them this August. I really didn't because I just came to the conclusion that my daughter is happy. She's happy where she's at. She doesn't want me to mourn because August 8th was like the worst for me ever since she passed. And one day I was going to work. I really didn't like going to work, but I said something, said get up and go to work. And I was talking to her, and this song came on, and it was by Pharrell, "I'm Happy." And she said, "Mommy, that's what I want you to keep from me to you." So I started doing that. Yeah, and I didn't call him this year. Yeah, I normally do, but I didn't. She doesn't want me to hurt anymore.
The loss of Janeal has deeply affected the people who loved her most. Before Janeal died, the only person Ronnie had ever lost in his life was a grandmother. Death was a very unfamiliar concept to him, and losing someone so close to you is traumatic. Her father, Mr. James Neal, was also invited to speak with me along with his current wife, but he declined. And Lovella believes that some of the reason for him turning me down is because he's still very much grieving the loss of his daughter, even after 12 years. She explained that Janeal's death had a deep impact on him, and it's not an easy topic for him to discuss. And that's not to say that Lovella isn't, mourning her eldest child herself, but everyone processes death and emotions that come along with it very differently. And we're going to close out today's episode to Lovella's voice. She shares some sweet stories of her daughter before she pleads for anyone with information to come forward. As always, a person's life was stolen, and the family members left behind are stuck with more questions than answers. As always, you can report information to Crime Stoppers anonymously. And, as always, if you thought nothing ever happened here, you thought wrong.
Well, I have a lot of memories. That one year when she first turned 16. Well, when she turned 16,
Mhm.
we celebrated her birthday that whole week. So I took her somewhere different every week. I took her to a play. We went to eat dinner, and we just had a good time. We just had a good time. Um, Besides the point when I had her, oh, she was a big baby. She was huge, and I was the little old thing, and I was trying to. My mom was there with me, and I looked at my mom. I said, "Mommy, better come on, get this baby out of me now, because I can't take this pain no more."
How big was she when she was born?
Oh, she was close to 8 pounds.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was 105 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
you
she,
poor thing.
yeah, yeah. So and then I had her, and I looked at her, and I said, "Oh, she's such a cute baby." So my mom said, "Well, what do you think you was having?" I said, "I don't know there for a minute, Mom. I don't. If I was having a baby elephant, or I don't know."
She was
Yeah,
stubborn, huh? It won't come out.
yeah. And she had so much hair. She had a hole full of curly hair. She was really a pretty baby. She was really beautiful. And the man wife that was in the bed next to mine, she had a little girl too. And he thought Janeal was his. So I said, "No, that one over there is yours, sir."
Oh, yeah, we don't need a mix-up.
Yeah, yeah,
He probably
yeah. So
your
a
baby.
lot of good memories. Yeah. When she took ballet, she only had like two teeth in the front. That was the cutest little thing.
Oh,
When's she gonna get her teeth in?
how old was she
But
when you did that?
4, let's say 4.
Oh,
Yeah, it took a while for her teeth to get in. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's either 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but if um, I just wanted to say, if anybody who's listening to this podcast, if you know anything that can lead us to this person that took a beautiful soul from this world, um, please tell the cops, tell somebody. And I'm sure, as small as Delaware is, somebody knows. Somebody knows something.
right. You can't do
Yeah.
something like this and keep it to yourself all these years.
Right. Right. So
Oh,
yeah, they did. They took a big piece of our family. She was the joy of our family, and they just snatched her. So now she's with the Lord, and she's happy. But so we're left here to mourn.
right.
Besides, if you know something, just go ahead and tell somebody, because this could have been your sister, your aunt, your cut. Excuse me, your cousin. Yeah, and she has a mother and a brother and a father that's really still grieving her loss, our loss. So if you know, tell, speak up, say something.